pull out that type of composition from picks and bans.
Yeah, it's been the TSM dream. It's the roster everyone wants to see come together. They have aggression in every lane. The jungler is able to play aggressive right there. Svenskeren got a haircut. He looks sharp. Everything's clicking.
Not gonna lie, rosters like that always scare me a little bit because there's that potential of, well, we were winning a lot, but we actually didn't really know why that was happening. Almost went for Immortals, right? They didn't change their ways. They kind of stuck with why they were winning, and it didn't pan out in the end.
Yeah, I will
It's
say,
scary.
I will say the TSM roster does take a lot of risks in game, and they often rely on their ability to just outplay their opponents in a risky situation.
That is true.
And it's worked the majority of the time with the 6-0 record, but obviously that could have some flaws, and I wonder if they're going to continue to play exactly that style, or if they're going to try and play a little more calculated. That being said, nothing broken. Don't fix it. Still undefeated.
Exactly. I have a question, chat. Where is this Hecarim coming from? We haven't really seen him yet. He seems to be the terror of scrims, maybe?
Yeah, solo queue and scrims. I think it's a combination of both of those things. And it's one of those junglers who really just can destroy one person in a game. Like, Ghost Hecarim, if you don't have Flash, will kill you. And because the Ghost can come up so much faster than the Flash now, as well as the Trinity Force buffs for Hecarim, like, he has a lot of potential to kind of take over a game. And I think especially against a team like Echo Fox, for TSM, they're just trying to get rid of the champions that could take over a game. So Vladimir and Hecarim off the board.
Quite a few top picks left up as well throughout this picks and bans. The Kindred and Hecarim get hit, but that Azir is still up. A lot of top laners are still up in the Irelia as well as the Jax, so we could get a good fight out of both of these teams. What will they decide to go for first with all that?
Exactly. We know Doublelift has played Lucian in every game except for one.
This is true.
Aside from one Sivir game, let's see if he keeps that streak alive. I am a little curious, though, what they would decide to go with. Just a solid jungler. Svenskeren decides against the Nidalee with Rek'Sai still up. Who's going to go for a little bit more control?
It seemed like a jungler is necessary on the other side. They actually want to get a bit of control and utility. Does Shen come in here? I was kind of hoping that KFO would still go for something aggressive, something he can win a lane and just fight that fight with 1v1 if it were to come to it against Hauntzer.
Yeah, we're seeing an increasing amount of Shen kind of around the world. It is a good matchup into Irelia, but I mean, with the blind pick right here, it's mainly just saying he's going to be able to plan to split lane with whoever he's up against. And it could also synergize really well with something like a jungle Olaf. We saw that synergy yesterday from Team Liquid when they had a Karma support, a jungle Olaf, top lane Shen, makes that Olaf really unstoppable when he runs in there. So TSM's going to have to keep that in mind, make sure they keep mobility in place for their other roles. And if they do Lucian and Azir, that would be what they need.
It's such a top squad, too, that they're already putting together. That is Azir, Lucian, and Rek'Sai so far for Team Solomid. And we do see Fox putting together different compositions. I mean, we saw the brand last week, so we could see anything filling this one out. Probably not the brand, though, with the Karma coming in.
Yeah, I mean, they're really just going to have to try and find something reliable or consistent. Something that can make plays, I think, is the biggest thing for Echo Fox, because so much of their strategy seems to be just win your individual matchup, then we'll win the game. And they've said themselves that they just don't really know what to do in the game. So potentially they pick playmakers, right? Already they have the Olaf.
There it is.
That factors right in with the Shen and the Karma. A little bit of a telegraph jungle pick, and they're going to wait for the mid lane counter pick until they see the entire team.
A lot of ways to facilitate that single lockdown on somebody from long range or whether up close, quick, and personal. So Fox have one more to round out their composition. Team Solomid blind picking the Azir. They can pretty much go all the way through this game if it goes long now with this composition so far. So really, anything to keep it safe. Something that just synergizes, not too much dive, not too much kite. What's right in the middle?
Hauntzer's been playing a lot of damage dealers top, so they would have the chance of going with something like Fiora if they wanted to outscale and split push. Or they could just go with a totally utility-focused champ, right? Like, Maokai is still a champion. I haven't seen much of it. Swain has been something he's played a lot of, although that was a really good combo with Zilean. And even though Irelia isn't a great matchup into Shen, it still offers, you know, a little bit of everything.
What's the final pickup? Is this the support Karma? The mid lane for Froggen. He would love to counter it. A lot of times here at the Echo Fox team, when they get in a rut, Froggen will kind of reassure them with, I'm actually really strong. I've been winning my lane. We can win this. Let's group. But keep it safe. And if I farm up enough, we can do this. So that's kind of the champion we're looking for him to lock in.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect a Victor, because that's kind of the thing that you do. Azir versus Victor, it's a whole bunch of damage. They don't have a huge amount of damage with the Shen in the top lane. Unless they wanted to go really heavy into the dive, then they would do something like the Kassadin. Oh, we get to see our second player doing Cassiopeia right here. Cassiopeia can be a good matchup into Azir. It's a really skill-intensive matchup, and you have to be very careful with your ranges to not get caught in the Shurima shuffle thing where Azir swoops in and knocks you backwards. But it can compete with the likes of Victor and Azir in overall damage and late-game scaling. So let's see how Froggen pulls it off here. Not to mention, Shen will help him, because that was one of Cassiopeia's weaknesses. If you close on her, she's weak, but if you get the Shen shield, you can keep machine gunning.
I'm interested to see if there's some type of... He goes in on Froggen. Froggen's still able to get his ult off as he flies to the back line or flies the wrong way.
That happens, yeah.
Seems like it can get messy, but it also seems like it's going to be awesome. Froggen always pulling out not what you expect. You'd say, yeah, he's going to go with something easier. He has that choice to go back to what we always see in the mid lane, go up against an Azir, but not this time. The Cassiopeia coming out for him. Froggen, again, looking to go for a very deadly carry position, this time on the Snake. The coaches will head to the back now. They've given the final words to their players. However, they'll get to talk to them between games.
Yeah, I was actually just paying attention to Big there, because we saw him on camera just like really vocal at the end of champs. Like that continued, and he's still having a fairly big conversation. Looks like back and forth with Keith. So I'm curious if there's like some problems with the pick ban phase, or if he's just trying to hype him up.
We're going to get this lane. They're going to have to stay, and it's going to be tough. We will see what they do. Make your voice heard on Twitter using the hashtag TSMWin or the hashtag FOXWin to declare your predictions for this matchup. It's going to be a good one. Team Solomid's up at the top of the table. They are the sole position of first place right now. And Echo Fox, they are looking to hit the ground running here. It's been a tough beginning to the split, but they're on the rift, and they're going to try once again to put a win in that column. Now against Team Solomid, it is going to be a tough match. Let's see how they do.
Yeah, and I mean, TSM, looking at their team composition, they got what they wanted.
They did.
They still got the Lucian every game, except for the one where they decided not to pick it. Doublelift's going for the record. Most Lucian games ever in a split. Bjergsen as well. S-tier mid laner, Svenskeren. Really across the board, they got powerful champions. Echo Fox trying to mix it up a little bit. Got the move sped Olaf going on there, but that's kind of be the story. When we see Dardoch play it, it looks really strong because he can have really efficient jungle pathing. His first ganks usually work, and when Olaf gets ahead, you have all these enablers to make him stronger. But Hart hasn't been the type of jungler you think of when you're thinking of this guy. He can take over the game. He's going to be an aggressive counter jungler. So he will have to step up if they want this composition to work, because typically the old Echo Fox style that we're used to of win your lane slowly and then take over the game, that doesn't fit. Olaf's an early mid-game snowballer.
Let's see if Hard gets in there. You have to know to be confident in the low health with your vicious strikes on, understanding that I can take this fight. That's what you actually saw a lot of Dardoch's Olaf, is that he kept pressing that small advantage even though it looked like he would go down. And we see Hard on the Elise. He's more of the in and out jungler, the quick hit and leave. So we'll see how this plays to him. He's got that ghost on so he can stick to somebody if they do get that attempt.
Obviously, Reignover started the whole trend. He's been playing it for 6 months to a year now, really in pretty dominant fashion, but definitely coming into a lot more prominence now. And we get a lane swap.
We'll see what Reignover brings out next. It was the Rengar for a while, but nobody really likes that name. Dardoch had his chance. Into the bot lane, very hard. Obviously onto Hauntzer. We'll see the same thing on the top side, but it's not going to be KFO actually joining. Yeah,
I mean, Hauntzer's got to bail out right there. That was basically just one of those blind swap things top laners try and do now. Since a lot of duo lanes in a blind swap want to make sure that they take a camp first, like the Gromp, it allows a top laner to sneak in the lane and get 2 or 3 minions before being completely starved out. It's also a little bit less incentivized to do a double jungle now, since you can't share experience on jungle camps. But Hauntzer was down there, got 1 minion, now he's teleporting to top lane to normalize the lane swap.
See who comes out on top. We had a lane swap yesterday, and it became very active in the mid lane.
Yeah, as you can see,
LG and Immortals.
New lane swap cam, obviously. TSM on the top side, Xbox on the bottom side, and we have the mini-map. So all the information is on the screen right now. You can watch the entire game at once. But really, basically, you can just see that the turrets are falling down at pretty much the same rate.
This is Leagueception. What if the other stream is doing the same thing right now and you're watching both? Your head's going to explode.
Far too many screens.
It seems like they're actually going to have the timing.
Oh, they're going to run in. Hard is trying to leech some experience right here. He's going to be in some trouble.
I think they're going to be able to leech hard on this one. He gets exhausted right away, throws down the ghost, and that's what it feels like to not have flash.
It's times like these where you really wonder, like, what was he thinking? But I'm gonna take a stab at it.
Stab it.
A lot of times, teams will leave one person at the turret. Sometimes he gets very low before recalling because they're trying to swap back very quickly. So I think what his ideal was is he was going to wait in that brush, time the recalls until there's just one person remaining and they're low, because a lot of the times to maximize turret taking, you tank a lot of damage from mini waves and you get very low.
Right.
So I think that was an attempt at a very clever play to try and steal a kill, but it ended up just looking foolish because TSM was ready for it. Svenskeren had already pathed up there to continue the push, and he got to spot him out, and it was an easy kill on Hard.
I always like to think in those plays is give him a little credit. What if, right? What if he did get it? Would have been a very nice play. Unfortunately, SOL, as he put himself right in between Svenskeren and the rest of the team, did not expect him to be doing Krugs at the time. And now exactly, Fox swap it back.
It's exactly what you don't want to happen. Well, right? You give up the double buff, you burn your first ghost, give up first blood to a team that's been very good at snowballing, and it feeds into this negative cycle because Echo Fox hasn't been able to pull off plays, so they end up just kind of sitting in lanes. But then they try and make a clever, risky play, and it totally backfires. So that's immediately going to kind of take them back to that role of passivity. Either way, great start for TSM being able to pick up that kill.
He actually gets a blue buff out of it because of the transfer over, so he's feeling very good about this, and Froggen's going to have an even harder time on this Cassio pick in the mid lane. As we see him getting forced to the turret, he's still CSing pretty well, only 2 behind there in that aggression. The turrets, again, are going to fall pretty synced here. It's all about where the vision goes down and who's able to get these rotation picks. It's like, TSM's just going to head for the dragon as they swap to the bot side. Perfect.
Exactly. TSM very clean on this play. There's just the second swap. They know they have a tempo advantage. They're expecting Olaf to be back. They're getting a little bit low. We'll see if Hard will be able to stop it, but with no ghost and being a little bit scared, it looks like TSM's going to be able to secure that without too many issues.
Oh. Is it too little, too late? Relentless pursuit over the wall.
He might have to flash. He doesn't want to flash.
Give him the heals, give him the bubbles. Finds his tunnel with just enough time and not enough follow-up from Echo Fox. So they scoot out of that, as well as pulling Echo Fox out of lanes, out of pushing that mid lane. And Bjergsen's going to push it right back in. Yeah,
even bigger advantage. I really like having Ocean Drake in the laning phase as well. It's just so much regeneration. It'll also help Svenskeren power through the jungle, because the regen only stops on champion damage. So for junglers, you just get to power clear through the jungle. Rek'Sai already doesn't really have to worry about health, even more so now. Great with sustained champions like Nami, since you just get to supercharge with healing. Really great early game for TSM.
Out come the long swords for both Keith and Doublelift. Trying to stack a little bit of early damage. Level 6s for the mid lanes. Those are just 6.5 minutes in here. Hauntzer returns to the top lane, so we're getting things evened out here. Interesting that the mid lane turrets stand, but these waves are still being cleared like there's a laning phase going on. Maybe just a few more waves. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, you wonder if they're going to freeze the lane a little bit, since both of these lanes are defenseless from a turret's perspective.
Right.
This will become more dangerous for TSM as Echo Fox approach level 6, because the Shen ultimate could come in. But it's also worth noting that neither mid laner has teleport, so the bottom lane fear is a little bit less than in most of the double TP games when you have double lane swaps like this. So because of that, I'd expect Biofrost and Doublelift to play a little bit more aggressive than we would have seen if there were 2 TPs on Echo Fox's side.
I haven't seen that for a while. It definitely is slowing the game down a little bit and showing us something different.
Wow, 2 defensive pink wards in Echo Fox's jungle. They go for Hauntzer.
Svenskaren's going to get the pop-up. That'll give Hauntzer time to work a slow or a stun in here. Back onto Hard. Almost goes down. Svenskeren can't get the final attack on his Hard. Ghosts and pops a potion just at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, with the 2 defensive pink wards, Echo Fox's play still goes wrong here, and KFO does have flash, but they're going to look to dive this.
I mean, why wouldn't they? They have the upper hand. They have a huge minion wave as well. There's another one. It's ramped up. He might get much, and he may be able to get another one. Svenskeren has to get out. It doesn't matter if it's on you or not. The turret ramps up now, and you have to be very careful.
Yeah, and Echo Fox, get out. with incredibly slim margins right there, because the size of that minion wave would have meant that dive would have been disastrous, because the timing of that gank was exactly what you want for TSM. Whenever you're in these lane swap situations, you have big waves crashing into turrets, and you always want to time a gank on the weak top laner as he's about to get his experience, because that's when he needs to stay under the turret. But in this dive in particular, KFO already very low. Hauntzer goes in, but Svenskeren can't immediately combo it, and then Fox, KFO teleport or flashes back in to his block zone, and TSM can't finish him off. And because KFO wasn't hitting back in that block zone, he didn't catch minion aggro, which is the biggest thing that kept him alive, because normally if the top laner wants to fight back in front of that big minion wave, the minions kill him. But KFO managed to juke out of minion aggro, and it kept him alive.
Minion aggro, and there was as soon you heard it, the equilibrium strike go off, and as soon as he dashed through her, she actually wasn't able to get it on. So Hauntzer actually had that fizzle out. Oh, my little half seconds here. TSM not happy with that last engage. They're going to go ahead and start stealing resources from the bot side of the jungle as KFO keeps that top turret alive. We're back to kind of breathing room here in the mid lane. Froggen continues to farm up, but he's actually got people on both sides of him. He's got to be careful.
Even with KFO's outplay there in the top side, it's not like TSM has let up on the pressure, and you can just see it on the map. Like, all of Echo Fox's pink wards are defensive. They have 2 in the red side of the jungle and 1 in the blue side of the jungle, so they're clearly just trying to keep up right now, and TSM has 4 people in the mid lane looking to make a push.
They're playing the sides of Echo Fox's side of the map like this mid turret is already actually down.
Yeah, a little bit. And everyone on Echo Fox having to recall right now.
Well, looks like
TSM's gonna match it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, looks like that mid turret may go down now, but you're right. They head back. Time to pick up more. Ocean Drake again next, so if TSM's able to get that, they'll be able to stay out and play all day. Never have to base.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of, I know everyone loves to talk about the Drakes and they just say, you know, Infernal is the greatest of all time. I will say that Infernal is an advantage in itself. Drakes like Ocean and Cloud allow you to get your own advantage. Because obviously the out of combat regen can help in siege situations, but the main thing that I think it enables you to do is stay on the map longer. You're less likely to have to recall, because health and mana are a very important resource that you often have to refill and you run low when you're out on the map. But if you're getting 4% of your missing health and mana back every 5 seconds, you get to just persist and you get to keep your pressure up for longer. So 50 minutes into the game in a big team fight, no, that's not going to matter. But hopefully by 50 minutes, because you've been able to stay out on the map the whole game, you will have already won or have gotten your advantage before.
It's going to dominate against the team when you're already invading their jungle, being able to find ways and avenues into their defenses so easily. You see how hard it is for Keith to farm on that bot side, already losing about 20 CS because of the back and forth. Mid lane really hasn't gotten any love in this lane swap. Usually the way it is, but less than usual.
And Froggen farming pretty well. Bjergsen has had, I think, the 2nd highest CS differential at 10 of all mid laners in North America, whereas Froggen's been completely even with him thus far on Cassiopeia. And Cassio is a champion that would like to farm up a little bit for late game. Now that she gets can't buy boots, so your 6-item build is naturally better because you're faster.
True to the lore.
Pretty nice here.
Whoa. Heart definitely is a magnet for TSM. He's able to find at least 3 members all the time when he's in an area of the map.
I think some of that credit goes to Svenskeren as well. He seems like very good at tracking the opponent jungler and shutting him down in almost all of these games. You can also see the top lane matchup, how difficult that is for Irelia since AFO is at full farm. And Fox trying to make a play. Kenall coming in.
Doublelift looking to solo ult onto Froggen. He gets pushed off. Froggen still has that gaze, so he can throw down an ultimate. That's
very aggressive.
Counter engage. That does not get taken. Dragon goes to Key, so it goes to Echo Fox, and they're going to disengage out of this one. So kind of taunting Team Solomid into a fight there. They didn't want it fully, and Fox come away with a Dragon.
I give credit to Echo Fox for taking the initiative and making that play. They had defensive boards for a long time. They finally get a small window after Bjergsen has gone to base to try and make a big push out. And then Svenskeren does an incredibly risky thing to flash blind into the pit to try and get the steal. But when Fox was retreating, they did take a decent amount of damage. So now it's on TSM to try and make a counter push and make up for that Dragon going over to Echo Fox.
Oh, Smites away Raptor, knows there's a ward right near him, but they need to clear out this encroaching vision because Hauntzer's starting to push up on the top side. Looks like he doesn't have too much of items finished, but he's sitting on 1,700 gold, so that's close to his Triforce when he needs it. KFO has that Sunfire Cape, which is why Hauntzer's having a bit of trouble here, but this won't be good after he purchases.
Yeah, the idea of crashing a big wave into the top laner's turret and diving him with your jungler is good at 5 minutes. When it's a Shen with a Sunfire Cape and a kill, not nearly as good.
Yeah.
Especially since Hauntzer and Svenskeren are so just sitting on item components. No way they would have the damage of killing KFO. Even if they weren't diving under a turret, it would be difficult.
Doublelift 20 CS ahead as well. CS leads in just about every lane here as they actually go for it.
Yeah.
Rift Herald, another avenue to get themselves back in this game.
The DPS on Cassiopeia is very high to help secure this buff, and they know that Irelia is just recalled. So again, I like this play by Echo Fox to secure the Rift Herald, and that's going to make KFO a beast in the split push, where as long as he can stand out and then pick it up. Now they're a little trapped in the pit. Here we go.
Big's a little too far forward. He's a two-shot from Hauntzer. As Svenskeren and him going for the fight hard, very close to going down, and he will in the end, but he gets his exhaust off just in time. Unfortunately, it does not solidify that kill onto Hauntzer, but they do find Svenskeren.
A little bit of a mixed call is what it looked like down the stretch there. Everyone was afraid of running towards Bjergsen. For good reason, Azir can do some ridiculous damage even with just a Nashers, but I kind of thought Echo Fox could have tried to run out the back of the pit.
Right.
I guess with hard, he can't because he's a Ghost Olaf, but either way, they get one kill back, get the Rift Herald for a kill trade, essentially, since it was a 2-for-1, and I'd say overall that is worth it for Echo Fox.
I thought they were going to get on Big's Mantra Shield and just head right out.
Yeah, I mean, they either need to commit to a fight or to run. It looked like they were between the two calls.
Unfortunate. Coming out, the resulting fight. Did you see who got Rift Herald?
Yes, KFO was able to pick it up.
KFO did pick it up. So
Yes.
if Echo Fox gets it, obviously they're going to grab it.
Sometimes you have
Wasn't
these
sure if it went on hard or not.
These really unfortunate times sometimes where the wrong person walks over. So here we see the Rift Herald goes down and Bjergsen is out. So it's like right now, Echo Fox could just take big, run to the left, and probably escape. But they kind of dilly-dally inside the pit right there, and then Biofrost tidal wave stops Froggen from getting in. Froggen then actually flashes over the pit somewhat aggressively as they've lost already their support and their jungler. Not the cleanest play, but I do like that Echo Fox is trying some more things. It's still not looking like it's going to lead to an immediate victory. TSM still keeping the pressure up, but Echo Fox at least fighting back.
Yeah, right after that fight, you can see Raptor and just in front of Red, 2 wards placed. The TSM using all this time to get that vision forward. That means they know what Fox is planning. They know where they're going to go next. And keeping their map game really in the lead. Right now, 2,000 gold at 15 minutes. It's actually quite a bit from what we usually see.
Yeah, at least the Drakes are equal, and we can't discount the Rift Herald, which has gone to KFO. But TSM have a big numbers advantage up here. They're either going for a kill or a turret push. They need to wait for their minions, however. It's very hard to dive a Shen. They have to remember this.
This would be a great time. Like you said, no teleports for the mid laners. Froggen's going to be all the way in the bot lane, farming up, going for Gromp, going for Rift Scuttle. It looks like top lane still can't be pushed. Enough resources from Fox still available to keep them off of the turret. So TSM trying to use their vision for a pick now. It doesn't necessarily have to be under a turret. The calling! Just 1 or 2 hits off there, and KFO coming in with the save of the day. Big is going to try to go in hard. Remember how fast he went down? He could be turned on, but right now TSM is choosing to leave since they don't have any more vision behind that last point.
Yeah, a lot of poke damage being able to get layered back by Keith right there, but still a very positive play for TSM overall. The culling damage already without the Black Cleaver, cutting through the entire Shen shield as Hard tried to ult away. It allows enough time for Bjergsen to finish off the mid turret.
Well, they're starting to have levels on Echo Fox now. The top lane, the mid lane, jungle, AD carry. This is where it gets quite tough. Doesn't matter about the items. It matters about what they're hitting you with in levels, and seeing a little bit of that for the AD carries.
Yeah, the map pressure for TSM is just relentless.
Yep.
They're always in the jungle. A lot of that starts with Svenskeren, but it has to be supported by the team. People are always ready to back Svenskeren up when he's going to make those plays. He has an early Sightstone. He's on Rek'Sai for even more vision control. And it's just allowing everyone to continue to play aggressive. The only way that works is if everyone is able to apply the same amount of pressure, because as soon as you have one leaky gasket, everything falls apart.
And what would be the leaky gasket this game? Where do we see the Echo Fox actually? Well, I guess it would be in the beginning, hard trying to make a sneaky play. You try to get yourself that jungle pressure, you lose double buffs, and then you actually can't create the gank pressure you want for what would be a Shen lane. Yeah. What could be a heavy damage DPS Froggen lane in the middle.
I mean, that's kind of what happens with Echo Fox, right? They wanted to pull off early pressure with Olaf, but it's been TSM that's had the early pressure in pretty much every lane. Azir vs Cassio can split, but as soon as your jungle loses the matchup, that becomes a favorable matchup for the other team. Let's see this. Cloud Drake is the next one up, and pressure-wise, Froggen is far away from that thing. Looks like it's going to easily go over to TSM.
A little bit of speed. Never hurt anybody. It looks like TSM will have a little bit more catch potential here, especially with soldiers slowing people down. Biofrost speeding a few up. And a tidal wave on the heels of Echo Fox. 3-2 as they've kept the kill count low, but they're losing more of the map than they're losing bodies on it. And if they're up, their turret should be staying up. They should be able to defend these. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah, definitely not. I do like, we've been seeing a lot more of the Ghostblade Jhin builds that go heavy into the armor penetration. Like, that's actually very strong at this stage in the game. When Keith hits level 11, his ultimate is going to do a bunch of damage, but they're just not seeming to be in position to get it. Oh, double lift!
Kill brush.
Love it from Froggen. He pink. Either, I think that's someone else's pink ward in that brush. I'm checking. Yeah, no, it's Froggen's pink ward. He has 2 pink wards in his inventory, one to set up that play and another to move afterwards. Love how he turned around Doublelift trying to get aggressive here, and that is potentially the hole in which you can get some pressure back, because now TSM doesn't have every lane pushing, so that allows the rest of Echo Fox to go in and actually get some deep wards.
Been such a patient snake. Clearing out Scuttle, clearing out Crop, going to help mid, back down to bottom, and he finally finds his prey in Doublelift. And he's still going to go. Froggen's definitely telling the team, sit back, yo-yo these fights. Now I'm going to start pushing the side lane, even though he doesn't have that teleport. And we'll see this here again.
Oh, man, Doublelift dashed over the wall to add insult to injury.
Everything you could ask for.
Yeah. Also have to note, the new miasma blocks you from dashing, so even if Doublelift had just walked up to there, as long as Froggen had the miasma down on him, he wouldn't have been able to dash. Jeez. Sneaky, sneaky Froggen.
Well, usually works once. I'll be very surprised if you can get it happen again. Maybe in a different spot here, but TSM has had quite the ward coverage. Now with that kind of falling off, Echo Fox is, their side of the map is quite dark to TSM. Has not been for quite some time this game. This could be another potential catch. Froggen's going to be the first one entering. Hopefully KFO doesn't scare him off.
Yeah. Froggen has repositioned his pink ward, trying to make another play. This is his second ward. Ah, Svenskeren found him.
No sneaky snake this time.
It's only 75 gold to do that, right? So you can either bring a sweeper or just always have a pink ward in your inventory and be like, you know what? I want to sweep right now.
Sweep. He's got the truce or the far sight as well, so he can make sure they're coming in the pathing that he wants. It's like Raptor buff on hard, and he's going to go ahead and be able to clear out the wards around red buff. So Echo Fox is, they're not afraid to take these kind of attempts from TSM as they make their way into the jungle. They're pushing them off. Top wave is getting cleared, and TSM is actually getting stalled out a little bit here.
Yep.
What's their next in?
I think their next in is either the Mountain Drake or a fairly early Baron. So the Baron damage from TSM is good because they have Azir, and Lucian has always been a decent Baron clearer. But I think because TSM still maintains a lot of map pressure, they're still slowly getting CS advantages, so they don't need to necessarily rush, even though Cassiopeia can scale great. They know they have objectives coming up. Mountain Drake will be next. If they get that, it'll mean a faster Baron. And I think they're just going to continue to try and use this map pressure and bait Echo Fox into dangerous places.
It's like, we know we're stronger. We're just waiting to pull the trigger.
And the thing that's happening with TSM right now is while they're making a lot of small risks, none of the risks are game-losing decisions. It's not like they're trying to send 5 people up and dive an inhibitor turret.
Right.
They have one dude in side lane, and if he dies, it just means their pressure lapses for a short amount of time. So as risky as TSM plays, like right now they're playing smart. Nice steal.
He's like, oh, that's yours? That's mine. Thank you very much. So Froggen's hard work as he tries to continuously farm, catch up. He's trying to take everything on the map, really. Now you see him going for top lane. He says, I'll get that. Don't worry about it. Make sure mid's pushed. KFO clear bot from Hauntzer. And we'll try to make sure we can do something with this next Drake. The fight really from a Cassiopeia team is to counter. And if TSM's not giving them the fights, then you almost have to find your own kills all the time like we just saw Froggen doing.
Yeah, and you speak about Cassiopeia being like a great counter game champion, which is true. There's also argument that Shen could also be optimal in a counter engage situation because he does such percentage health when he can get his blade to pass through the opponent that sometimes he just works better as a peeler because that's much easier to land that, and you continue to just refresh over and over again. When you pair it with the Carmen and Olaf, you're expecting a little bit more aggression from the Shen. But if they really wanted to kind of stall this out and just protect Froggen's Cassiopeia, they do have that option.
Very true. More speed from Big as well. He's got to make sure Keith stays out of harm's way. Not too many escapes for Jhin by himself. A lot on the table kind of creates a mini game for Big here as saving the teammates, keeping them healed, as well as KFO being in the right spot. And right now it seems like he may be teleporting back. Their team may be getting ready for a defense here on this top turret. I think Bjergsen's going to be there, so KFO may be able to take something with the team if they move in with that ultimate. Looks like they're keeping it safe though. They're actually set with, let's have TSM make the first move it seems.
It's true, and TSM is very committed to just keeping pressure in all three waves. It's something that COG perfected last split, and TSM is kind of doing that against Echofox here. 3-1-1, 1-3-1, all these different variations. They clear out vision. They see where they are, and they're actually trying to sneak this Baron before Mountain Drake. This is the first big risk TSM is taking. Here comes the teleport, here comes the fight.
I like this a lot. Oh, Svenskeren very low. He's going to have to flash out of that one, but he still goes down. Keith takes him with the corruption, and they're going to keep going on this one. Biofrost gets a fang to the backside. He goes down, and TSM bite off a little more than they can chew with that Baron. More of a bait.
They should have been more patient right there. Jhin excels at ulting around the Baron pit, but now it's Echofox 5 versus 3. The damage dealers of TSM still alive.
Doublelift gets hit. There's the gaze onto Doublelift. He's frozen solid. Hauntzer going to be the next one if they can find it. Over the wall goes Froggen. There's the speed. There's the kill with the undertow from Hard.
Trying to go in.
Can Bjergsen clean up the fight? We've seen it here before, but history will not repeat itself for the Azir. Bjergsen falls and the
hit might keep happening. Svenskeren, he knows how low they are. Is he gonna? He's got a GA as well, so I feel like it is suicide if he goes in there. But stranger things have happened.
Big just used the shield with Mantra. That means the team's going to have to lock down Svenskeren. He gets to the back. They don't have enough time to wait on Baron damage. They have to quickly focus him. Then going back, who's going to be the tank? They have enough. And Echofox grabs Baron.
Completely swing the game around right there. And all of that, quite honestly, was from TSM greed. They didn't want to give up. They wanted to steal the Baron at 24 minutes in, and Echofox countered it quite well. Svenskeren takes one too many shots from the Jhin as well as the Baron. And then, aside from that, I would say the MVP of the fight was KFO Shen. So this is when it became the 5v3 because they again tried to re-engage on the Baron. There could be a fight at the Mountain Drake as well. We'll cut out if that happens. But watch KFO. He taunt flashes onto Bjergsen, and then they chain it with Froggen as well. So Doublelift is looking to kind of poke in here. And KFO just immediately onto Doublelift. And Froggen actually missed his Cassiopeia ultimate, so that was all KFO as far as getting that lockdown. Still have the exhaust ready from Big onto Hauntzer. And then Bjergsen goes in and tries to make a good play, but again, KFO lands the taunt onto Bjergsen before he can finish them off with any more auto attacks from Azir. So great job on his end. Now Froggen might be pushing too far. Here we go.
It doesn't look like he's in too good of a spot. Gaze goes, oh, here comes KFO. If he gets onto Hauntzer,
a lot of minions.
There's not enough damage from Svenskeren, and they put themselves in a real sticky situation. They come up, they go back down, and Doublelift's going down as well. Keith stays alive in what seemed to be a back and forth between the 80 carries. Biofrost is just wandering around with his head cut off, and he goes down. A triple kill for Froggen. What just happened?
0-3. The entire game has swung in Echofox's favor. TSM made that one mistake, and they were not willing to take the loss, so they keep trying to get it back right away, over and over again, and maybe they just lost the game. They're losing their inhibitor, maybe more.
20 seconds. We've seen what happens in these very tight countdowns to when the team's about to spawn in Echofox. They've seen those matches too. They'll wait for now. They know they have a huge lead at this point with 5,000 gold, and they're going to go ahead and base.
And this all started with TSM trying to turn a kill onto Froggen, but that's one of the things we mentioned about having Shen protecting the Cassiopeia so Cassiopeia can just deal unreal damage. Froggen takes 2 down, and then I don't know what Doublelift and Biofrost were doing up there. Maybe they were trying to collapse down on a fight that was already lost, but that was never a good idea. Froggen collapses in for the triple kill, and because they killed 4 people on TSM, they quickly went in for that. And every time those plays happen, Big always has a lot to say.
Big on the horn, always calling the shots, calling the direction, the precision of what champion to go for next. And we are going to get ourselves onto the second tier turret in mid lane. Remember, the inhibitor's already down in the bot, so there's minions going to be pouring in soon.
TSM is actually out of sorts right now. Hauntzer and Svenskeren were thinking about flanking there when they're already way down. They need to be worried about clearing the waves and preventing this Baron power play from ending the game. They weren't even in position to defend that turret properly. Echo Fox totally in control now.
All sorts. They had somebody going to the bot side and there weren't even minions there yet. TSM recouping here. I think they just got thrown back and forth mentally. And they have to figure out what to do to get back into this one. We were just saying, it looks like Echo Fox waiting for TSM to do something. And I actually thought that Baron play was a super good call because you had 20 seconds on the Mountain Drake. You're saying, oh, it'll be Mountain before anybody does the next big objective.
Exactly.
But they tried to squeak it in ahead of time.
TSM was trying to maybe outsmart Echo Fox. Maybe it was just a disrespectful play, being like, yo, we don't need to prep this properly. We don't need to go Mountain Drake to Baron. We're just going to take the Baron right away. They're not going to stop us. But Echo Fox, they did, and
oh boy,
in the retreat, TSM couldn't do it. At this point, TSM's just hoping to get a pick off because Froggen and the rest of Echo Fox are so strong right now that they can potentially just push right through.
The early soldier giving up the death brush award going in it as well, so it cannot happen with any more members. Nexus turrets are taking a little bit of a beating right now.
Yep, already went down.
One just went down as Echo Fox here is doing the do-si-do with TSM in the top lane, and it doesn't seem like they're dancing in the right direction. 13-3, coming up on 30 minutes, and TSM is down to Nexus turret.
Yep, Baron is obviously down already, but when you have 2 waves of super minions, you can't have a full-time 5-man squad away from the 2 waves. So that's 1 Nexus turret down. That's what a lot of teams are willing to trade for, an opportunity to try and get a kill. TSM thought their opportunity was the death brush. They have turned games around like that before, but not today.
This has really come down to fast kills and preventing TSM from picking up any of their own. Look at those kill scorecards. 703, 204, nothing for Bjergsen, usually carrying on that Azir. Not a pivotal point for the team this time. Still has to ramp up, and it hurts. TSM actually isn't finding a way to take these fights from behind once they've been so overthrown. It's rare to see them in this position in the summer split so far.
Yeah, trying to clear off the turret with the Jhin ultimate. Let's see how much damage they get.
Inner flame to the back, so they've had to dodge that, dispersed a little bit. The bubble misses as it seems like they're reaching here to get themselves an engage, but more using the resources that makes it okay for Fox to feel secure in taking these inhibitor turrets. Big gets hit, but that's not the main target. Then the tidal wave goes out. It doesn't seem like everybody's even on board with this. Svenskaren's gonna go down. Froggen taking damage with the back line hard, almost dead as well. Ragnarok as he beats himself out of the fight. KFO in the front line, and the 3v1 is Bjergsen's on the side. Can't really do anything. Now he finds his in. Froggen's gonna go down, and it looks like they'll be able to clean this one up. A bit of a stutter step by TSM on this engage, but they find the victory on that.
Yeah, and they used all of their possible time because they've lost their second Nexus turret down, so thank goodness Bjergsen's still alive to clear away those waves. But to talk about how that fight actually happened, Echo Fox took so much damage from the turrets before prepping that play, and then that allowed TSM a small window to kind of go in and force the play. Like, TSM doesn't have spectacular initiation. They need to flank. It's an Irelia and a Rek'Sai running in.
Yeah.
So because Echo Fox burned so much just to get some damage on that turret, it gave the window for TSM to come in and eventually for Bjergsen to slide in at the very end to kind of get the kill. This means TSM's still alive in the game. Their inhibitors should be respawning shortly, but they burned all of their resources in order to do this.
Let's see it one more time here.
Yeah, Tidal Wave catches Froggen and Hard gets incredibly low. And look at the poke that Bjergsen gets down on Froggen very early. So Froggen's kind of out of the fight and not able to keep TSM's damage dealers at bay. Bjergsen almost always had his soldiers auto-attacking in this fight for insane DPS. Then he gets the knockback to kill 2 people as well as proc Froggen pretty much with a single spell. Then Big has to flash away at the very end. So Summoner's burned as well from Echo Fox, and that'll give TSM a little bit of breathing room.
Baron back up. And with the inhibitors up, that'll be very good for TSM. You can see how far they want to get that mid wave pushed out so it's not instantly crashing in to their base.
Yeah, this is a really pivotal point in the game because at this point, repelling the push, getting inhibitors to respawn, TSM can still actually win this if they get a proper team fight. They had such a big advantage that despite the collapse, it's still close. Unless Svenskeren gets caught, Hauntzer's not even here.
The bubble goes in to give him speed and stop the other team, but he gets taken down by Keith, and that was may have been the Dust Blade if it took him out. The cooldown actually didn't come up, so it wasn't a kill.
Yeah, it was probably the Deathfire touch right there, because that's the mastery that Jhin brings. Here, though, Mountain Drake and Cassiopeia. So Echo Fox can take the Baron very quickly. No Svenskeren for TSM. They would have to fight this 4 versus 5.
And
that's a great poke.
Look at this route here coming in from KFO as well. He's going to want to stop these minion waves, as well as say, hey guys, I'm going to start the super minions back up once again. You're going to have to send someone to respect this.
What's interesting is he could actually run at the Nexus right now. Nope, second inhibitor respawn.
Yep, just in time.
Yeah, this actually isn't going to give him anything. I don't like that move from KFO.
It looked good.
He's not a Jax or anything. It takes him about 45 seconds to kill an inhibitor by himself without minions. So if anything, KFO should have gotten the minion wave going, because the minions can threaten the inhibitor.
Yeah.
But that actually didn't force a response at all, and now they can both match with teleport. So Echo Fox doesn't make any use out of the pick they got on Svenskeren outside of the immediate gold value.
And now he's picked himself a fight.
The red buff means Hauntzer can win this.
If he wants it. Sunfire Cave's burning, but it's healed through by Hauntzer at this point. Equilibrium.
They're going in.
It's not going to be there. He goes for the team. Big goes down.
They're trying to win. They're trying to win.
KFO's in. They're onto the Nexus. They took down the inhibitor. Onto the Nexus now. They're going to be doing what they can to get it. Hearts on the other side, swinging away. KFO alive. This is going to work. They throw it. Can it go all the way down now? It's going to be 45 to 50 seconds on Echo Fox as they had a go for broke rush for TSM's Nexus.
What is it about Nexus rushes this week? G2 had a couple of them that were unsuccessful. Echo Fox tried to get it. It's not a good plan to try and rush the Nexus when the entire enemy team is alive. First off, Shen is very low when they're coming in here, and they had a bit of an angle, but Azir and Lucian have a bunch of damage. Tidal Wave slows down pretty much no one there, and Froggen and Keith come around the backside, but he just pushes him back into the base because of the angle they had taken. They don't have enough damage, and like technically they could go for another rush.
Oh no.
I like it.
Something about it being real bad is what he said right there. That's Baron down to TSM, and they have to continue to just kind of turtle their base for maybe the duration of this Baron, because until their inhibitors back up, the Nexus only regenerates so quickly. It's still only halfway up, 2,500.
Do it again!
Nexus. Run it again! Run it back! Let's try this again. That seems to be the prevailing strategy when there's an explosive Nexus in the LCS.
Well, it looks like they'll get the minion wave in mid, push down first. They do still have something to fight over and keep TSM at, and that is that middle inhibitor or the bottom one. Baron's going to be tough, though, as that was quickly picked up by TSM as they wasted no time after their previous fight win. And now a second fight win pushes Echo Fox out. This will be a third attempt to possibly end the game, but it looks like TSM's even ready to meet him outside the base.
Yeah, and this could just be so tilting for Echo Fox, trying to make the right decisions now, knowing they had the game in hand after getting that first Baron and then making a couple of poor team fight choices and team decisions that could potentially allow TSM back in. Add that to the fact that they have lost their last 10 games, as well as only being 1-5 on the split against the first place team. They could have beaten, at least taken a game off the undefeated TSM, but now it's really anyone's game, even if they've killed the majority of TSM's buildings. Anyone's game now, Riv.
Could be theirs. It could be the switch for like when CLG beat Immortals. Will Echo Fox beat TSM and then win the NALCS? Is that what we're looking at?
This is the road to redemption.
The road to redemption. Right
Starts
now,
with one game.
It's been closed to 1,000. It's a damn close road that they're driving on here. It's going to be a game of chicken very soon. If a fight like that happens, TSM's going to run straight down to Echo Fox's base. That cannot be repeated by Echo Fox. So they may be timid here, but they can't let their engages be tempered from here on out. They still have to go with how powerful they feel they are, because they're still quite strong this game.
Yeah, and while it can be really tempting to try and go for that exposed Nexus, I feel like Echo Fox has to
baby steps,
play controlled. They know they have some good counter-engage opportunities with the Cassiopeia. They know that Keith can initiate pretty well, but they do have to worry because Bjergsen has become so huge in this game. And also Hauntzer's been able to itemize enough damage that he can actually win the split-pushing duels against KFO now. So I think that's why Echo Fox is trying to rush, because in their head, they're just like, we have to win now. TSM is outscaling. What are we going to do? But with the other Drake coming up, it's just, you know, what Echo Fox needs to do is continue to do what got them here. They wait for, at this point, they need to wait for TSM to commit and then counter with their counter initiation. Have to figure out what this pause is.
Figure out what that is. Definitely a tense moment to have this. It seems like Big is actually not feeling very well at the moment. Keith, I'm going to go back and see if he is all right.
Yeah, that's never good to see, whether it's nerves or whether he had an illness coming into the day. We will find out about that.
I get word it is a personal pause. It's going to happen under extreme circumstances. You don't have to just sit in your chair and kind of be in pain or anything. Go take care of yourself. So we're going to get that for now, and the players will remain silent for this portion of the pause. But what a game we have so far, and I don't think anybody expected this from Echo Fox.
Yeah, I mean, we said, and it's a very real thing, the phenomenon of a trap game, right? Where you're not really expected to win the game. TSM maybe wasn't expecting a huge challenge from Echo Fox. I know that their head coach Weldon preaches that they need to take every game very seriously, have a bunch of respect for every team, but I honestly feel like that Baron call that TSM tried to make at 23 minutes wasn't respecting their opponent. And that allowed Echo Fox to take a big lead in this game, and then to TSM's credit, they've gathered themselves after that mistake and begun to play smart yet again. So this is kind of one of those games where you need to be able to test yourself mid-game, right? No timeouts in League of Legends for strategic reasons. Right. Obviously, there are for some emergency issues, and you need to be able to have the mentality in-game to kind of fix it yourself.
Well, that's one of the things we talked about coming into this game specifically was Envy coming up tomorrow. Is this a trap game for TSM? Is this the team they'll try to look by, try to end the game quick, and just get that victory back in the column? But they say, let's end it quick, and it bites them.
I think the answer was yes. Like, obviously, this is kind of what happens. It's a 1-5 Echo Fox versus 6-0 TSM, and we have an incredibly close game right now. But at the same time, we also did want to see like how Echo Fox responds after parting ways with Coach Kopp, who's been their coach for the entirety of the Echo Fox being an organization, really.
Very true.
And you know, so far it actually looked like Echo Fox has been able to take some risks and make some plays. Obviously, it's not all there yet, but this is a relatively promising first game in a life without Coach Kopp. But obviously, we got this pause 38 minutes into the game, and it's a super tense moment.
And it's still that Echo Fox pick ban. There's some things you don't expect in there that came out like the Cassiopeia. I would expect it again, KFO, to go something like the Jax or the Irelia we've been seeing him on. So strong, controlling lanes, and he brings out the Shen this time. So they're actually, along with that comfort, still discussing compositions that are going to work better for the game at hand. They're not just going in saying, well, you know, everything's new this week, so we'll do what we can and then recoup next week with the ideas, and we can see how we did. Yeah,
absolutely. And I actually have been really impressed with KFO's Shen this game. I don't think map-wise he's been given the opportunity to get a lot of farm. TSM actually kept manipulating situations where KFO was on his own, and he had to outplay significantly there, which has allowed Hauntzer to get that 100 CS advantage, and now is putting Hauntzer in a place where he can outduel KFO. A lot of that is just from the CS. But if we look at the team fights they're able to win and the dives that KFO was able to stop, I think he's had a great game thus far and would have been one of the major reasons they ended up winning. I've heard players are on their way back to the stage. Keith is back. Hopefully Big is on his way as well, and we'll be able to get back in this one to see the shocking conclusion of the 38-minute game one.
It was actually pretty impressive as well how Echo Fox weathered the storm early. Hard got hit. Double buffs gone as soon as you can lose them, really, in that game. And then they were able to give the blue over to Bjergsen, which Bjergsen was able to use for just against Froggen, pushing him in. So that for Echo Fox, not falling farther behind, as well as the lanes understanding, there's going to be much more pressure. Maybe the lane swap actually helped them in that sense, since they didn't have to match up with jungle ganks and more pressure.
Yeah, that's very true. Froggen did a great job in the early laning phase. 11.5 minutes in, he had a 5 to 10 CS advantage over Bjergsen. But as the game has progressed, Bjergsen's made a bunch of big plays. Froggen also had that one really good play up in the top side where he could kill Doublelift, who he's made have not the greatest game. I think this has been one of Doublelift's lower impact games on Lucian. And it kind of all comes back to this moment where we're incredibly close in the game. Looking at the items, it definitely feels like TSM is starting to pull back ahead. And Echo Fox, even though they've had that big lead, really both teams in this game have had the opportunity of having big leads and close out the game. But now that we're kind of back at net neutral, they both need to be able to reset and just kind of figure out, okay, not keeping in mind what happened previously, like how do we win from here? Let's not dwell on our mistakes. Let's look towards the future.
Well, that future is going to be very, very soon. Both Keith and Big have returned. And it looks like we're going to get the readies on the screen from both teams. We're going to be in the game very shortly here. The intense 38-minute matchup. Team Solomid, TSM versus Echo Fox, still live in game 1 of the series. And we're back onto the Rifts. We're going to get Keith backing here, which means breathing time for Fox. TSM kind of holding their own as well, just staying on their side as everybody regroups and we reset.
Now, Froggen with the Guardian Angel, that might help. I typically like Guardian Angel on tank champions. I would have preferred Froggen just go with a death cap or something to blow people up, but he wants the survivability against the Irelia a little bit. And lane pressure is actually slightly in Echo Fox's favor right now.
That's true. Just cross the river, both top and bottom, with some power in the mid lane.
Yeah. It's really tricky for TSM at the moment because they have that exposed inhibitor with no Nexus turret, so if a wave of super minions did run down that lane and no one was there to match it, they'd just kill the Nexus. So true. TSM is confined to their base, which is what's allowing Echo Fox to get some of the lane and map pressure down.
It's very interesting to see teams fight in this position. The fight loss means the game loss for Team Solomid. If that controls their mind in this fight at all, it can easily be lost. They almost have to fight like that can't be an option. Very, very difficult at this point, but the top team in the league, we'll see how they perform right now as Echo Fox is pushing down the mid lane. Top wave is going to be meeting quite soon as well with that super minion coming in. That inhibitor has just respawned, so it'll be the last wave of that. We'll see how Echo Fox uses it. Seems like they're timid themselves, but rightfully so.
Yeah, they have to respect Bjergsen's Azir. It's just so beastly right now. Mirroring 6 items. And not the greatest ways of catching him out. I mean, essentially KFO would have to taunt flash in. Svenskeren also with a bunch of armor pretty much just eats those 2 Jhin ult. He cancels to get some of the cooldown back. And yeah, it definitely feels like Echo Fox is sufficiently stalled out right now.
Okay. They're a little scared there. We heard the Youmuu's Ghostblade go off for Keith, but not a big deal. They were just getting themselves to safety, and now the Yo-Yo back as well.
And they see Bjergsen's a little low. They're hoping for an engage.
The resolve almost working on Svenskeren. Locked him down, but I don't know if that's the first one they want to engage on. Really just looking to separate the team and find an opening for a bigger, greater fight.
Yeah, and Keith has actually hit Bjergsen with a couple W's in a row now. He's got him below half health, which pushes him back to base. The unfortunate thing, though, is unless Echo Fox is willing to commit all the way to inhibitor, there's nothing for them to do right now. Elder Drake's in 150, Baron is in 140. So it's pretty much just farming out waves and waiting for people to hit max items at the moment.
Sure, Bjergsen is happy to do that. 426 now to the 339 of Froggen, so you can see the result of Echo Fox being in the lead for the past few minutes and just filing these waves into the base of TSM. It's mostly been Bjergsen's farm, and he is almost finalizing his items now.
It's kind of just adding up.
Yep.
TSM already had CS advantages before the late game, but then when you're down to 2 to 3 inhibitors, like you say, the minions just continue to come to you. It's kind of a natural catch-up mechanic if you're able to stall.
That's true. If you have the right wave clear, and they do. Looks like they'll try to get the right vision. For now, the time of the game, things are getting quite tense. We're approaching that 40-minute mark. Actually, have passed that 40-minute mark now. Both Elder and Baron spawning almost the same time. And they're going to have to figure back and forth which one do they want first, which one will be fought over. Titanic finished up for KFO as well. As he finally gets a little more damage there.
TSM in a dangerous situation. Like, at any moment, we could see a team attempt initiation. There's Tidal Wave from Biofrost. There's basically Ghost and Karma from Echo Fox, although Hard may not have enough gold to be able to threaten that anymore because Bjergsen and Doublelift have enough damage to burst him down. They're actually just making a run for the exposed inhibitor right now.
Doing something like this does cause the team to file in one by one. Obviously, there's a caboose, but they still have enough power on the front line of Bjergsen and Svenskeren to make something happen. So Fox recognize that, they step out. And it looks like they're just trying to play the ring around the rosy game and see where they can get TSM to follow them.
They're trying to keep TSM far enough at bay and dancing back and forth to maybe give them a window to rush the Baron or the Elder Drake. But Nami and Azir can still run pretty quickly, so it's a big game of cat and mouse right now about getting the waves in the right place, threatening in the right spots to really go for a big objective. And Cassiopeia with a Mountain Drake can kill that Baron so fast. So really TSM has to always respect that move, and that puts them in danger of getting picked off.
A lot of communication being heard here in the battle theater, so close and intimately to the players.
Good damage.
You can hear everything they're saying, and it's getting loud. It seems like they are calling left and right. Where's the engage? How can we find it?
Bjergsen's away from the main team right now. He's got a lot of damage down.
Very, very low as well. On the other side, looks like Bjergsen's going to be able to finalize this if he gets into range. He slides it, but has he left his team off on the side? They've been disengaging this fight. KFO is going to come up in 60 seconds with the TP or stand united. But what can EchoFox do in this time? I think they're going to try to go little love taps on this inhibitor, but they're going to be pushed around.
Almost all of their damage, but I don't think TSM wants to fight this without him. They get the inhibitor, but now TSM might be trying a pincer. Very interesting. Vic's caught.
Big has the flash out. That's going to be the locket of the Iron Solari as well. Svenskeren flashing over to get himself in a spot. He actually seems like he wanted to pop that for his team to get in range. Unfortunately, that did not work for him. Bjergsen's going to be again on the heels of his team, ready to fight as Hauntzer is going to start doing some wave duty.
And these are the situations that are so hard to practice for because it's so unique in what is down right now, knowing you're kind of dancing with these inhibitors down in 4v5s with random catches going off. And it's such a game of cat and mouse. Again, they could go for the Nexus. They're going to go for the Nexus right now. TSM, they haven't even started their recalls.
8 seconds back, but it looks like they're actually... Wait, don't show that you're backing yet, because then you get Baron if they recall.
Exactly.
Some are going to keep it.
Back and forth and back and forth, just trying to get that small edge. EchoFox remembered what happened last time with the rush not working, but TSM was actually slow enough in the recalls. I think EchoFox could have ended. They just weren't expecting TSM to be slow in their recalls.
I love it. This is getting so good, Fox. Yeah. Now, again,
now it's all
the waiting
about,
game.
It's also about vision control at this point, because if they can see them running back and forth, they can better predict.
Look at, they're like sentry guards now.
Yeah, they can't move because they're worried about Rek'Sai. Oh, they saw him. Oh, Froggen's in the bad spot.
Whoa! Froggen,
the tidal wave.
Dude, just slithers out. He's good to go.
All right. Reset it once again, but they know Froggen is low. TSM finally has them corralled. And here, EchoFox, they're going to try and loop. They want to get back in the mid lane and threaten the Nexus again. They're cut off.
One soldier is the game changer there. You see, he cannot be hit by any more. Curtain call. Just going to take a bit of HP off of Svenskeren, and they're going to be okay. Such a touch-and-go game. EchoFox trying to end without a fight here. They want to end with 5 members of TSM up.
It's so
weird. What we've seen.
Because normally you would expect a team to just set up a split pusher and pressure that way.
Yes.
But because no one on EchoFox can duel Hauntzer, Hauntzer's got way too much damage, he'll kill KFO. Even Bjergsen can kill KFO. EchoFox is just trying to run loops because they're weaker in team fights, they're weaker in split pushing, but their main advantage in this game right now is their structure damage. They've been able to kill enough structures that they do this, and maybe they bought themselves time to rush down the other Drake. This would give them 2 minutes to try and end the game.
That's going to be Baron as well. If somebody gets in there, they get the TP in if KFO can do something.
This is super dangerous for TSM. They need to kill the Baron to get in the power recall because EchoFox should be rushing the base as fast as humanly possible because they want to get this fight in the last 2 minutes.
There's paused back.
They have Elder Drake right now. Terrible call by TSM going for the Baron. Baron is interrupting their recalls. Fox might win right here.
EchoFox entering the base now on the 3rd try. The tidal wave comes out. Is there enough disengage? Fox is on the Nexus. Fox is going to take the first game of the series over TSM.
Wow. I mean, you run in circles enough.
You get them dizzy.
Yeah, that's apparently what happened. Because the dizziness from TSM, the highly questionable Baron call down the stretch, does not feel good for TSM. You can see they're not very pleased about that one because technically TSM was still pretty strong in the 5v5 team fights. Yep. But obviously, they ran enough loops that EchoFox could pick the Elder Drake, and then you're thinking in your head, like, okay, they were stronger. It's an open net.